Welcome back into another episode of the Washington SXM podcast. As always, tell a friend, tell a friend, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click that bell, get notified whenever I drop a video. So, Vice President Kamela Harris of the US is in Ghana currently, and they give a press conference. And what question do you think came up when they were on the press conference talking with the Ghanaian president? LGBT come up again by a New Times reporter. Anyway, this video, the quality is not so good, and they have a few hiccups, so just watch it, but it's not a good video at the moment. Well, take a look at it, and then we'll discuss it after.
Kano Youngs from the New York Times. Madam Vice President, you have made clear that the message of this trip is centered on a collaborative future. At the same time, the Biden administration committed to calling out any foreign government that advanced anti-gay legislation or violates human rights. All three of the countries that you are visiting on this trip have advanced or proposed anti-gay legislation. Ghana has proposed a bill that would imprison those that engage in same-sex intercourse. Gay sex remains a crime in Tanzania, and same-sex relationships are outlawed in Zambia. What have you said to the president and plan to say to other leaders on this trip about the crackdown on human rights? And for the president as well, you've talked about the proliferation of terrorist groups across the region, as well as pirate activities along the Western African coast. What does the presence of the Wagner Group say about past U.S. support when it comes to security? What more do you need from the United States to combat this threat? And also, can you confirm that Al-Qaeda has a presence currently in Ghana? Thank you.
I'll start. I have raised this issue, and let me be clear about where we stand. First of all, for the American press who are here, you know that a great deal of work in my career has been to address human rights issues, equality issues across the board, including as it relates to the LGBT community. And I feel very strongly about the importance of supporting the freedom and supporting and fighting for equality among all people, and that all people be treated equally. I will also say that this is an issue that we consider, and I consider, to be a human rights issue, and that will not change.
Yes. What's the name?
Sorry, Kano Youngs of the New York Times.
Zolan. Ms. Young, so thank you for the question. First of all, we don't have any such legislation here in Ghana. A bill has been proposed to the Parliament of Ghana, which has all kinds of ramifications, which is now being considered by the Parliament. It hasn't been passed, so the statement that there is legislation in Ghana to that effect is not accurate. The bill is going through the Parliament. It's going through the Parliament. The Attorney General has found it necessary to speak to the committee about it regarding the constitutionality or otherwise of several of its provisions, and the Parliament is dealing with it. At the end of the process, I will come in. But in the meantime, the Parliament is dealing with it. And I have no doubt that the Parliament of Ghana will show, as it has done in the past, first of all, its sensitivity to human rights issues, as well as to the feelings of our population, and will come out with a responsible response to the proposed. The legislation was a legislation that has been provided as a private member's bill. This is not an official legislation of the government, but it is one that has been mooted by a handful of private members. So we will see what the final outcome of it. But my understanding from a recent discussion I had with the committee, the substantial elements of the bill have already been modified as a result.
So in that video, you see the reporter from the Times asked a question about the LGBT and the legislation that's in the Parliament at the moment in Ghana. But I like how the president answered the question. But Kamela Harris, I know her response. That's her typical response. But if you notice, her tone and her demeanor is not as aggressive as they used to be. They're no longer pressing this issue. Why? Because number one, they are losing allies globally because of the Ukrainian war. So now they need African countries to ally with them because they come to give some money to Ghana to help with some other issues. But you see, her demeanor and what she said, we still believe in human rights. But she didn't say they have to or they must, but she says we still. So they are kind of backtracking now and pushing this narrative that you must have legal, LGBT must be legal in the country. And the President Nana Akufo, I like his response as well. He give a very diplomatic response when he say they don't have such legislation signed in Ghana, but it's going through the parliament. And notice how he painted it as a it's like it's going to the parliament, but it's modified and it's changed the tone, and he have to come to him so he don't know what it is, and he won't, and then when it comes to him then he can speak on it. That's a very diplomatic way to answer the question, so then can point at him and say yes, it's you sign an agreement. But even though Ghana is anti-LGBT like most of the African countries, but he can rest on this for the time being. That is not into law yet, even though it's in parliament. So I like the response, and it saved him face with the Americans, and it saved the Americans from giving a definite answer as to why they are signing deals with Ghana now, and they're going to Tanzania next, where it's actually on the books. So it's going to be interesting to see how she respond to each of these questions when she go to each different country who has this on the books already, that it's illegal to be LGBTQ plus people. And I didn't like how the reporter posed the question as well. He's saying that Al-Qaeda is in Ghana. Al-Qaeda is not only in Ghana. They are all over the globe. There are a lot of them is still in the States. I call them sleeper cells. So they always trying to paint this narrative as if other countries have terrorists in it, while they don't. As if they have the most, and mostly homegrown is what's in the States. So don't come and push this narrative on Ghana as if Ghana is breeding terrorists or is covering for them or something. That's how the question sounds to me, as if he's saying they know they're there and they're not doing nothing about it. I don't like that, the narrative. And that's how Americans always point the finger when they travel, especially reporters. But again, I respect the response from Kamela. She's saying she didn't come to the lecture, basically, because she said she didn't talk much about China and didn't talk much about LGBT. They're talking about the cooperation. So they do need allies in Africa, as if they don't. So they won't be pushing this narrative going forward because of the whole BRICS thing and the de-dollarization going on globally. So they now have to stop imposing their democracy and their way of living on other countries. And it's coming to an end, as I can see how she's responding to this question. Anyway, thanks for watching. You don't know. Peace, one love, boom.